Today, I am with Suzanne Baeke, and Suzanne is a vice president at BLISCare.
Thank you for having me.
When we started traveling the country visiting different bariatric clinics, BLISCare came up a lot. First off, tell me, what do you do at BLISCare?
I'm VP of Business Development and Sales and Marketing. Obviously, finding new ways to use BlissCare and interacting with our current surgeons as well.
Today, you and I are going to speak mainly about BLISCare in the bariatric setting. But just to be clear for people, you guys serve bariatric surgeons and also plastic surgeons.
We do. We're actually in 17 different specialties, but bariatrics is by far our largest.
Okay. And I guess I assumed that every surgeon in the country knew what BlissCare was, knew how to use it, knew how it was being used inside their office. But as we've progressed through different clinics, that's not always the case. So that's why we wanted to have you on and I guess share the good news of BlissCare with anybody who's
Right.
not aware of it and dive deeper into how it works. I'll start pretending like someone listening has no idea what you guys do. So, what is your role in a bariatric surgeon's office?
In a bariatric surgeon's office, when the patient comes in and they go through the entire process and they get to their financial specialist or their patient coordinators, they go through, they get their price quote, and everything's great. They go and they have their surgery, they come back and there's a complication. Who's going to pay for that? That's where we step in. That premium is added in that price quote at the very beginning. So the patient may not even realize they have that. And an important part to your question is, especially when a practice has it and they're not utilizing it on a regular basis. Why is it important and what do you need to look for? When that patient coordinator gives the price quote, buried in there is the BlissCare premium. That way, after the patient has their surgery, if they should have a complication, it's already taken care of. The patient can go have a CT scan. They can go take care of all of that. They don't even need to be asked for additional funds. That is what BlissCare can do for you in your practice.
Yes. So, primarily working with private practice bariatric surgeons.
Mhm.
And the clinics that I've been in, I've seen the spectrum, some surgeons not requiring anything like that. Some surgeons telling the patient in the financial conversation, hey, here is our all in cash pay sleeve price. And if you want to add this insurance product that would cover all complications, that adds X number of dollars to the case. Or the other side of the spectrum, which is, I think, if I'm BlissCare, the one that I would prefer is the surgeon's office who includes it in the price, maybe doesn't even bring it up to the patient, but says, hey, our all in cash pay sleeve is 13.5, and you get pre op and you get surgery, you get post op. And they don't even mention it because they're doing it for peace of mind for the practice.
Well, exactly. And not just peace of mind, but it secures that surgeon's original profit, the practice's original profit margin on that surgery is maintained. Because if there's a complication, they don't have to worry about complications coming out of their pocket that the patient hadn't planned for. Because everyone knows a patient doesn't really expect, even though in that informed consent, the patient is told if there's a complication, understand that you could have additional expenses.
Mm.
But every surgeon out there knows that that's a difficult conversation. It doesn't happen very often that the patient is actually paying for those complications and then it resulting in going further into a medical malpractice case when it should never have gone that far.
Yes. I think if I'm a surgeon, a few specific questions. Number one, there have to be some type of limits. How do you choose the financial limit of this coverage if there is unfortunately a complication?
Perfect question. So we go anywhere from 30 days up to a year, most commonly for the protection. So for the benefit period, we can go as far as 5 years, but typically it's 30 days, 90 days, 1 year. Then with a limit to the policy. So is it 25,000? Is it 50,000 or is it 100,000? So you can imagine, just like on any premium on any insurance product, it would be based on what is your benefit limit for how long, et cetera. We have surgeons everywhere from 30 days up to a year, even 2 years, and their benefit limit is typically 25,000, and that is in the entirety. So for the entire year, let's say you did a year and there were 2 complication events. It's 25,000 still as one number. So if one complication takes 5,000 and then that's taken care of, but if there's a second one, well, there's only 20,000 left.
Okay. And so you can, as a clinic, you can change what the price is to add this policy onto each surgery based on time frame going out, based on financial value. Are you looking at the complication rate of the surgeon and does that affect the price?
What we do in the underwriting process, a brand new surgeon, we get specific information from them in the application process, any past complications, et cetera. Underwriting reviews that, and typically they fall within the same range. We would start them out with a rating factor of just 1.0, which is basically even. As they're with Bliss, we will look back at 6 months and see how things are progressing. Did they have very many complications? What's the number that we've paid out? And if nothing, we just move along. When we get to 1 year, we do the same thing. And if there's a bump in the complication dollars that have been paid out, then we look at that ratio, we compare them to their peers, and we look to see if they need a rate increase. And sometimes they get a rate decrease because they had very few dollars paid out in complication dollars. They paid in X number of dollars, complication dollars are way below that, and we're able to give them a decrease in their rate.
Understood. So you guys have some of the best complication data then that's out
Yes, we
there.
do. Yes, we do.
It's not appropriate for us to talk about the price for each surgery on here, but just want people to know if they are to reach out to you, that price, it's variable. It's not the same for
It is a variable, and ranges can be just under $1,000 per procedure, depending on what the procedure is. And then there's more complicated procedures, when you get up to the Roux-en-Y, et cetera. And those can be based on the parameters we've talked about, up to 2,500 or even a little more per procedure for those more complicated. And like I said earlier, depending on time frame and benefit limit.
Gotcha. And are there complications that BLISCare does not cover?
That's a great question because it's a much shorter list. So things that we don't cover would be if it's trauma related. Let's say they had surgery and they were on their way home from the hospital and they were in a car wreck
Yep.
and the injuries were related to the trauma.
Gotcha.
Just about everything else, because BLISCare was built on known complication, the risks of the known complications. And just about anything you can think of that is a known complication in that bariatric surgery, from the time the patient's rolled into the operating room till the last day of that protection that was part of the policy. So if it was 90 days, so it is the day of surgery to that 90th day, and just about everything is covered. Really, the only thing I can think of would be if it's truly malpractice, that's one thing, but I don't think we've ever had that issue. And then trauma related.
I haven't seen this conversation had many times. Do you think most patients assume if they're an insurance patient that insurance covers complications, and also does insurance cover complications?
I think a lot of patients believe that insurance should cover a complication, but what they don't realize is that if it was not covered by insurance to begin with, and insurance is billed for a complication for a procedure that was not authorized by insurance, typically they won't pay for it. And you find that in bariatrics and plastics, but not all insurances cover weight loss surgery.
Mm.
I think that it's getting better, but unfortunately, there are both patients and surgeons out there that will bill insurance for complications, hoping it gets paid.
You have some really busy clinics across the country that just include the cost of Bliss on every single procedure.
Absolutely. I believe they've seen the benefit, which is why they include it on everything. And that patient that you don't think is going to have a complication, that will be the one that has it. Oh, they're pretty healthy. Their comorbidities aren't that bad. Their diabetes is under control. Oh, they're going to be fine. You just can't go by that.
And so from the patient side, you pay what you pay to the clinic, and then that's it. There's no deductible, copay, out of pocket. It is all included.
Correct.
Yep.
Up to that benefit limit. So if the patient had to go in for a CT scan to rule out a leak after the sleeve, they don't have to pay for that. There's no deductibles. There's nothing. BLISCare will take care of those bills up to that benefit limit. I'm happy to answer any additional questions or jump on another podcast sometime with you.
Certainly. I will include contact info when I send this out to our list. And yeah, we've enjoyed getting to know you guys in this industry. Thanks for joining me for a short podcast episode.
You're very welcome. Thank you.